difficult to coin this market other than a make or break week for risk assets, and specifically we've got our eyes very firmly on what's happening in the equity land. Everyone's saying, could we see a bit of a short-term reprieve? Could we see a bit of a bounce playing through in S&P and NASDAQ and other markets going forward? Yeah, I think the S&P certainly needs a bit of work to be done. I mean, I think if you look at S&P futures, we've got the neckline of the double bottom around 4,095. There's a bit of work to get up to those kind of levels. But if we do see that, then obviously that propels us up to 4,300. I don't think you're going to get those kind of levels myself, given that the Fed still want this markets lower. They're still pretty happy with tightening of financial conditions. But the price is the price, and it does what it wants to do. I think ultimately what's positive is that we saw the market trade down to 38.07 on Friday, S&P futures. The buyers stepped in about an hour and a half. We saw the cash markets closed relatively unchanged. We saw NASDAQ futures trade down to 11,500. Again, the buyers stepped in. Will that spill over into higher futures markets today? I think a lot of this really depends on what happens in credit markets. On Friday, we saw high yield credit spreads close above 5% relative to risk-free rates. And those credit spreads widened about 33 basis points in the week. So if credit continues to widen and continue to deteriorate, then the S&P is going to roll over and it's going to go lower. We've also got our eyes on the VIX as well. It closed at 29.4% on Friday. If we were to see S&P futures roll over and trade close through 38.50, trade through 38.07, then ultimately you're going to be looking at a VIX which is pretty cheap at those levels. Obviously credit spreads determine that. We've got our eyes on real rates as well. I think the market would clearly like to see lower real rates, lower nominal rates, and obviously a weaker dollar. Now, the dollar was under pressure last week. It arrested 6 or 7 weeks of gains. So a slightly weaker dollar would be very helpful for risk assets this week, certainly against the Chinese renminbi, against the Japanese yen. It'd be nice to see the euro sort of through 106.50. So it'd be an interesting week. Can we see this positive goodwill spill over into a bit more upside in the equity markets? That's what we're watching. We're watching the dollar, we're watching real rates. Also, I think the ASX 200, I think through 7,200 would be very positive. The DAX through 14,280 would get a momentum trade going on. So is this the week that we see a bit of a melt up, a little bit of pop for people to sell into, or will we roll over and things get a bit ugly on the day?